There is something that no one wants to talk about openly, something that remains buried in the deepest, darkest layers of the human psyche, something that profoundly determines who you become as a person, something that the vast majority of people spend their entire lives trying to ignore, deny, or minimize at any price: the genuine, fundamental lack of love in childhood. I'm not talking about the obvious type of visible abuse or neglect that leaves physical marks or that the community can recognize from afar and judge. I'm talking about that deeply silent type, the one that is completely invisible to those observing from the outside, but that is permanently engraved in every cell of your being, in every synapse of your brain, in every emotional fiber of your psychological makeup. I'm talking about that particular absence, that particular emptiness, that love that wasn't given, that wasn't offered, that wasn't shown, love that shapes your soul in ways so profound that you may never fully understand until this very moment when you're reading these words. A child who was not truly loved in childhood, who did not receive unconditional love, who learned that his value was performative and conditional, this child carries with him deep, silent marks that will resurface repeatedly, consistently, throughout each year, each month, each day of his adult life. These brands don't scream for attention. They don't announce themselves dramatically. They whisper constantly, quietly, so seamlessly that you cannot recognize them as external voices. They affect every relationship you try to build, every important decision you make, every way you see yourself in your most vulnerable moments. And the most disturbing thing is that many people live entire decades, 30, 40, 50 years or more, without truly understanding that absolutely everything that harms them today has direct roots in what they did not receive yesterday, and what was denied to them when they were defenseless children who depended completely on the love of those around them. But that could change. This understanding can transform you profoundly. Because when you finally recognize those marks, when you can finally name them, when you can finally see where they came from, you gain power. You gain true transformation capacity. You gain the possibility of healing that you may never have believed possible. The first silent mark that someone carries when they were not genuinely loved in childhood is a deep, deep-rooted, almost insurmountable difficulty in truly believing that you deserve to be loved unconditionally. This is not something you think about consciously or verbalize regularly. You don't wake up in the morning and explicitly say, "I don't deserve to be loved." Instead, this corrosive belief slowly seeps into every pore of your existence invisibly, tacitly, completely assumed as absolute truth. It's like a software file that is constantly running in the back of your mind, silently editing your every perception, filtering each experience through a specific lens of personal unworthiness. When someone approaches you with genuine affection, with real show of love, with real interest in your life, that little voice inside, that voice that was formed and molded in that childhood without genuine love, immediately begins to question, to doubt, to deeply distrust. Why does this person love me? What is the real hidden motive? What did she see in me that made her choose to be with me? This has to be false. This can't be real. She must be confused. She will eventually find out who I really am beneath this mask I so carefully wear. A child who has been truly loved unconditionally by their caregivers learns, internalizes, and assumes as truth from the first years of life that love is their birthright, that they are worthy of being loved not for anything they do, but simply for existing, for being who they are in their most fundamental being. But a child who has not received this fundamental love learns something very different, much more damaging and lasting. Learn that love has to be an activity earned through action, that it needs to be deserved through good behavior or external success or conformity to other people's expectations. She learns that if she cannot retain the love of her parents or caregivers, the people who biologically, morally should love her unconditionally without reservations of any kind, then she definitely, absolutely does not deserve anyone's love in any circumstance in life. And this simple but devastating childish logic continues to operate within him years later, decades later, when that child is now a fully functional adult in later life. Airier, but completely tormented in the inner life. An adult who unconsciously but persistently sabotages his or her own relationships because he or she deeply believes, even if he or she consciously denies it when questioned, that he or she is unlovable, unworthy of dedication, and an emotional burden. You can be in a relationship that looks wonderful from the outside. You can have a partner who truly loves you, who consistently demonstrates that love, and yet that whispering voice will tell you that you are not worthy of it, that your partner is making a mistake by being with you, that they will soon discover the truth and leave. And this deeply rooted belief causes you to constantly sabotage the chance for genuine happiness. The second silent mark is a profound inability to set healthy boundaries, accompanied by a compulsive need to be helpful, likable, and invisible. An unloved child learned early on that the only way to get attention was through being helpful, through doing things for adults, through suppressing his own needs. Perhaps she learned that asking was dangerous, that having needs was inconvenient, that her presence was tolerated only when doing something worthwhile. Then she became overly sensitive to the needs of others, anticipating demands before they were expressed, always ready to help, always sacrificing her own desires for the convenience of others. This dynamic doesn't change when you grow up. An adult trained in this way continues to operate within the same automatic pattern. This person says yes when they would like to say no, listen to other people's problems for hours while your life falls apart, works extra without being asked. Donate money you can't give. She abandons her own projects when someone close to her needs her, and he does everything without anyone having to ask because the request was learned to be something dangerous, therefore anticipate, offer, sacrifice. And when you finally draw the line, when you finally say no, the reaction is so great, so guilt-ridden that you immediately back off. The child inside her screams that this is exactly what she feared, being abandoned when she was no longer useful. The third silent hallmark is chronic hypervigilance, a constant need to monitor one's environment and people's emotions to anticipate imminent danger. A child who was unloved, or who received active rejection, constant criticism, or conditional love, learned that the world was dangerous, that people were unpredictable, that his well-being depended on his ability to read the emotional climate of the house and respond appropriately. She became an expert at detecting subtle changes in tone, at interpreting facial microexpressions, at recognizing when someone was in a bad mood and therefore it was dangerous to open their mouth. She has developed a hypersensitive emotional antenna as a necessary survival mechanism. And this capacity, although it was absolutely necessary in turbulent childhood, continues to operate in adulthood in often harmful ways. An adult who has been raised this way remains permanently hypervigilant. You walk into a room, and instead of relaxing, you are constantly monitoring, interpreting, anticipating invisible emotional changes. You notice your partner's tone has changed slightly, and you go into crisis resolution mode, trying to figure out what you did wrong. Recognize an emotional trigger in your boss and begin planning how to mitigate the situation before it becomes a problem. He is always on constant alert. This exhausts her deeply. It keeps her stuck in a state of chronic anxiety that never really goes away, never being able to genuinely relax because he learned that relaxing was dangerous, that constant vigilance was the price of safety. And even if you rationally know that this vigilance is no longer necessary, your nervous system has not received this message. Your body remains on alert, like a soldier who returned from war but never left the battlefield mentally. The fourth silent mark is an attachment to toxic or unavailable relationships, a tendency to be attracted to people who recapitulate childhood dynamics of rejection. This seems paradoxical. Why would someone who has not been loved continue to look for love in places where it will not be found? But there is a deep psychological logic. A child who has been rejected, who has not been loved, who has received conditional or inconsistent love, has internalized a belief that this is the kind of love that exists in the world. When you grow up and look for romantic relationships, you look for something that resembles what you know. He seeks to recreate that family dynamic because it is familiar, because it is the pattern imprinted in his being. And deeper, on some unconscious level, he is trying to correct history, trying to win the game he lost. You're thinking, this time it's going to be different. This time I will win your love. This time I'll make it. Therefore, she is attracted to people who are emotionally unavailable, chronically critical, and inconsistent in their affection. People who replicate exactly the dynamics that hurt the child she was, and he works incredibly hard. Dedicate yourself completely. Makes extraordinary concessions. Denies your own needs. Try to be perfect. All in an unconscious effort to gain the love he didn't earn as a child. And when inevitably that relationship doesn't work, don't blame the other person. Blame yourself. You think you haven't done enough. And he continues to repeat the pattern because it is the only one he knows, because it was shaped in his childhood. The fifth silent mark is a chronic tendency towards self-destructive perfectionism and a critical inner voice that never rests, never offers peace. A child who was not loved unconditionally learned that his value was conditional, that he needed to earn affection through impeccable performance. She developed a fierce inner critic, a voice that constantly evaluated her, that found her inadequate, that motivated her through fear and guilt. When you grow up, that critic doesn't disappear. Instead, it becomes even more ferocious. The adult continues to operate within a pattern of conditional validation, constantly trying to prove his worth through tasks completed, success achieved. No matter how much you achieve, how many achievements you have, that voice will say that it is not enough, that you could have done better. A compliment is dismissed as insincere. An achievement is devalued. Success brings only temporary relief before the voice demands more. She often works obsessively, neglects her health, sacrifices relationships in the name of goals that never really satisfy her. And the most tragic thing is that even when she recognizes the pattern, even when she understands that she's operating in the same dynamics that harmed her, that voice does not obey. It's still there. Keep whispering. It continues to suggest inadequacy. These 5 marks are not small, observable scars. They are complete operating systems running every day of your adult life, editing perceptions, shaping behaviors, directing choices in ways you can't even recognize as rooted in old wounds. They affect how you choose partners, how you behave at work, how you spend money, how you take care of your health, how you interact with your children, how you respond to feedback, how you process criticism, how you celebrate achievements, how you deal with failure, how you think about yourself in the quiet moments when no one is watching. Because the uncomfortable truth is that you cannot separate the marks of the place where you were injured from your body, mind, and soul. They're not like a coat you can take off. They are like scars that have become so close to the skin that the skin itself has rebuilt itself around them. They have become part of you. They shaped your soul. But here's the thing no one tells you. What was done to you as a child can be taken back. What has been taken away can be restored. It doesn't happen quickly. It doesn't happen without pain. But it happens. The first thing that needs to happen is appointment. You need to name what happened. It needs to be said out loud. I was not loved unconditionally as a child. My value was conditional. My access to affection depended on my performance. My needs were not met. Saying this is scary. But it does mean that you've stopped blaming yourself for the ways that a lack of love continues to harm you today. It means accepting that something outside of your control has not been protected. It means feeling anger, resentment, sadness. And many people are not willing. It's easier to keep blaming yourself. The second thing is validation. He needs to validate the child he was. You need to tell her your value did not depend on performance. His worthiness of love was not conditional. The way you were treated was not your fault. He was just a child. It didn't deserve neglect. He didn't deserve rejection. I didn't deserve to have needs ignored. He deserved to be loved. Full stop. It seems simple, but it is destabilizing. Genuine validation means giving yourself the unconditional love you didn't receive. It means looking at yourself with compassion. It means recognizing that you did the best with the resources you had. It means stop punishing yourself. It means stopping creating relationships where you constantly prove your worth. It means starting to set limits, not out of selfishness, but because your needs finally matter. The third thing is relearn. You need to relearn how to relate. Learning that genuine love is not conditional, that people who truly love you don't make you depend on perfect performance, that it is safe to allow others to see vulnerabilities, that it is acceptable to have needs and express them, that it's okay to set limits, that healthy relationships are based on reciprocity, not continual sacrifice. Who can say no without losing the love of someone who really means it? Aman. Everything opposite to what he learned. Therefore, it requires consistent practice. It requires kindness to yourself when you fail. It requires recognizing each small victory, each limit established, each need expressed, each moment in which you chose to respect yourself. It requires surrounding yourself with safe people who demonstrate healthy relationships. It requires reading, learning, expanding understanding of what is possible beyond the modeled pattern. The truth is that what was done to you as a child shaped your soul. Silent brands are real. They do not disappear through ignorance or wishful thinking, but what is done to you does not permanently determine who you are. He is not a prisoner of that wound. You're not condemned to repeat the pattern forever. The child he was had no choice. I couldn't leave that environment. I couldn't rewrite the pattern. She couldn't protect herself. But the adult he is now has power. You have a choice. You have the ability to understand where these brands came from, what they mean, how they are operating in your life now. Most importantly, it has the ability to begin healing. Healing is not linear. It's not simple. It's not fast. You'll probably go through moments where you think you've made progress only to fall into the same pattern again. You will probably question whether change is really possible. You will probably have moments of anger so deep that you cannot breathe. And you will probably have moments of deep compassion and love for the child you were. But here's what matters most, that you can heal from this. Being able to learn to love yourself in ways that no one loved you in childhood. Being able to build genuinely healthy relationships where it is safe to be vulnerable. Being able to establish an internal voice that is encouraging rather than critical. Being able to choose people who truly love you unconditionally. Being able to allow yourself to fail without punishment. Being able to accept compliments without dismissing them. Being able to have needs and express them without guilt. Achieve all this and more, because healing is possible. Transformation is possible. You will never be able to change what happened as a child, but you can make a profound change in what you do with it now, how you relate to it now, how it continues to affect you now. Being able to finally give yourself the kind of unconditional love you deserve to have received from the beginning, it shaped his soul. These marks run deep, but you are even deeper. Your ability to heal, your resilience, your potential for transformation, all of this is infinite, and now finally you know it. You can choose to begin healing today. You can choose to love yourself unconditionally from this very moment. You can choose to break the pattern that was created when you were a helpless child. That choice is yours now. And with that choice comes genuine, authentic, complete freedom. The path to healing from these silent scars begins when you finally accept that the lack of love you received was not your fault. You were a child. You had no power over your caregiver's choices. You couldn't have done anything different to deserve more love, more attention, more validation. The child you were did the best you could with what you had available. This child was enough. This child deserved love. The fact that he didn't receive it says everything about the adults around him and absolutely nothing about his intrinsic value as a human being. One of the hardest parts of this journey is recognizing that you may have to do work that your parents or caregivers never did. You may have to reparent yourself. You may have to learn how to love the child inside you in ways no one else has. This may seem strange or artificial at first. It may seem like you're talking to yourself in a way that seems insane, but with time and consistent practice, that inner voice changes. Start offering genuine compassion instead of constant criticism. Start validating your needs instead of denying them. Start celebrating your successes instead of diminishing them. Start recognizing your efforts instead of always finding what was left to do. Healing also involves allowing yourself to feel all the emotions that were repressed or denied as a child. If you grew up in an environment where your emotions were not welcome, where your feelings were minimized or punished, you learned to repress them, to hide them, to pretend they didn't exist. As an adult, you may need a safe space to feel genuine anger about the lost years, the stolen childhood, the love you didn't receive. You may need space to cry the tears you never shed as a child because it wasn't safe to do so. You may need space to feel genuine joy that you are alive, that you have survived, that you're finally starting to heal. These emotions don't disappear simply because you're an adult. They need to be honored, felt, integrated. Seek professional help. Therapy, counseling, coaching specialized in childhood trauma can be absolutely transformative on this journey. A trained professional can help you understand specific patterns that you may not even be able to see clearly on your own. It can offer practical tools for dealing with intense emotions. It can create a genuinely safe space where your experiences are validated and your suffering is acknowledged. It can help you rewrite the narrative of your life, not by ignoring what happened, but by understanding how you can live forward despite it. The healing journey also involves creating new relationships that are truly healthy. This means learning to recognize what a genuine relationship is based on mutual respect, reciprocity, trust, and genuine affection. It means being willing to let go of relationships that repeat the toxic pattern you experienced in childhood. It means allowing yourself to be vulnerable with people who have demonstrated that they are worthy of that vulnerability. It means learning that it's safe to express your needs, that it's safe to say no, that it's safe to truly be yourself. Finally, healing involves integration. It involves stopping separating the child you were from the person you are now. It involves recognizing that these parts of you are all one person. It involves ceasing to believe that the injury you received is a flaw in you, but instead understanding how it has shaped you, how it has contributed to the resilience you have developed, how it has informed the compassion you can have for others who have also suffered. The experience of not being loved as a child is a scar, but scars don't define you. Scars just show how far you've come. They show that you survived, and surviving is a form of victory. And there's something else that's absolutely crucial to understand about these silent marks. They don't just affect you, they transmit themselves. If you were raised without unconditional love and now have children, you may unconsciously repeat some of these patterns with them unless you are aware and willing to do otherwise. You may find yourself being critical of your children in the same way you have been criticized. You may find yourself conditioning your love based on performance. You may find yourself neglecting your own needs because you learned that your needs didn't matter. But, and this is hopeful, being aware of this is the first step to breaking the cycle. You can choose to love your children unconditionally. You can choose to validate your emotions. You can choose to set healthy boundaries while providing absolute safety. You can be to your children what you wish someone had been to you when you were a child. And in doing so, not only do they win, you also gain the experience of receiving unconditional love reflected back through the eyes of a child who truly feels loved. These silent marks also affect your ability to trust. If you grew up in an environment where the people you should trust most were untrustworthy, you may develop a fundamental distrust of others, may be constantly waiting for betrayal, can read negative intentions and neutral actions. You may find yourself constantly testing those close to you, unconsciously trying to confirm your belief that they will eventually be disloyal. This creates tense, defensive relationships that often become self-fulfilling prophecies. The person eventually leaves because being constantly suspicious is emotionally draining. Rebuilding your ability to trust is a long process. It starts with trusting yourself. It means recognizing that your intuition is valid, that your instincts have been sharpened by the need to survive in an unsafe environment, and that they can now be fine-tuned to recognize who is genuinely safe. It means practicing trusting people who have consistently demonstrated that they are trustworthy. It means being willing to be vulnerable, even if you know you are at risk. It means recognizing that not everyone hurt you, even if some did. There is also the issue of perfectionism. Many people who have not been loved unconditionally develop a fierce struggle against any feeling of not being enough. They work compulsively. They exercise excessively. They obsessively control their appearance. They constantly chase the next goal, the next achievement, never allowing themselves to rest. That's because internally, there is a voice that whispers that if they just achieved the right level of success, the right body, the right look, the right career, then they would finally be worthy. They would finally be loved, but this is a game that can never be won, because the standards always change. There is always more to achieve. There is always a flaw to find. Freedom from perfectionism comes when you finally accept that your value is not related to your product. Yushin. That you are worthy simply for existing. That your flaws do not define you. That your successes don't make you more deserving of love. That rest is not laziness. That you can relax and still be a valuable, useful, important person. That's a radical concept for someone who has spent a lifetime proving his worth through achievement. Another profound mark is the difficulty in receiving. If you grew up constantly giving, anticipating needs, sacrificing, you may find yourself deeply uncomfortable when someone offers to do something for you. You may insist on paying when someone offers to pay for dinner. You may refuse help even when you desperately need it. You may feel guilty when you receive gifts or recognition. It can minimize any good thing that happens to you. This is because internally you learned that you don't deserve to receive, that you have to earn each thing through your own action. Receiving without doing anything in return makes you feel indebted or at risk of being cheated or impatient. Learning to receive is a revolutionary act. It means allowing other people to love you through your acts of care and generosity. It means accepting a gift without feeling the need to reciprocate immediately. It means letting other people do things for you without believing you are in debt. It means recognizing that you are worthy of care, not because you did something to deserve it, but because you exist. The path forward is not easy, but it is absolutely possible. There are people who lived childhoods completely devoid of genuine love who managed to completely transform their lives, who managed to build healthy, loving relationships, who have managed to develop genuine compassion for their parents or caregivers while still maintaining firm boundaries, who were able to forgive, not because their caregivers deserved forgiveness, but because carrying anger was hurting them more than anything else, who have managed to rebuild relationships with their parents in ways that are healthier, and crucially, that they managed to love themselves in ways that their parents never did. This transformation does not happen through wishful thinking. It doesn't just happen through reading books or watching videos about trauma. It happens through consistent action, by seeking professional help when necessary, by creating a circle of safe people who support you, through consistent self-compassion practices, through setting limits even when it's uncomfortable, through making choices that honor you even when it means letting go of toxic relationships, through being willing to take risks by being vulnerable with people who have demonstrated that they are safe. And finally, there is a small truth that few can understand. His experience of lack of love, despite all the pain it caused, also made him more empathetic, kinder, better able to recognize suffering in others. You have developed a wisdom about human frailty that others could never develop. You know inside out how to deal with being neglected. And that makes you capable of being for other people what no one was for you. You can be the person who truly listens, which is genuinely validating, who loves unconditionally. That offers security. These silent marks you carry, they have shaped your soul, but your soul is more resilient, stronger, more beautiful than any wound that was left there. And you, right now, have the power to begin to heal, to understand where these brands came from, to validate the child who suffered, to give yourself the love you deserve from the beginning. This is your right. This is your opportunity. And this change starts now, not when you reach the next goal, not when you get the perfect body, not when you find the right relationship. Now, here, with you, just as you are, with all your imperfection, with all your anger, with all your pain, with all your beauty. You are worthy. You always were. And now, finally, you can start to truly believe it. The reality is that many people who were unloved as children spend their entire lives operating from an emotional deficit that they cannot name. They feel that something is wrong, that something is missing, but they cannot pinpoint exactly what. They may be professionally successful, they may have relationships that look good from the outside, they may have a life that on paper seems perfect, but internally there is a void, a feeling of incompleteness that no achievement can fill. This emptiness is that love that they did not receive as a child. This void is the mark left by absence. There is hope in this truth. Because unlike the past that you can't change, the present is completely under your control. You can start today to build the loving, safe, genuinely supportive relationship you were meant to have had as a child. And that relationship is with yourself. You are the adult who can now offer security to the child you were. You are the adult who can now say, your value is not conditional. Your needs matter. Your emotions are valid. You deserve love even if no one offered it to you as a child. This is the revolutionary truth that can change your life. You can be for yourself what your parents or caregivers never were. You're able to offer yourself the unconditional acceptance, the constant validation, the unqualified love that you deserve from the beginning. This change is not small. It's deep. It is transformative. It's the difference between continuing to live in the pattern of lack of love and finally experiencing wholeness. And when you make that change, when you truly begin to love yourself unconditionally, you will discover something surprising. Your relationships with other people will change too. When you're no longer desperate for validation and love from partners who can't offer it, you'll attract different people. When you are no longer sabotaging healthy relationships because you don't believe you deserve to be loved, you will be able to stay in genuinely good relationships. When you are no longer trying to earn someone's love through sacrifice and helpfulness, you will be able to offer your love from a place of genuine completion, not need. That is the promise of understanding these 5 silent marks. It is not simply intellectual understanding, it is genuine transformation. It's the possibility of finally, after decades of carrying this wound, starting to heal, to finally offer himself the compassion he deserved, to finally recognize your own value regardless of your production, your appearance, your success, your usefulness to others, to finally truly love yourself. So if you're reading this and recognize yourself in any of these 5 brands, know this: you are not broken. You are not damaged beyond repair. You are not entirely defined by what happened when you were a child. You are an extraordinarily resilient person who survived something very difficult, and now you have the opportunity to transform that survival into genuine healing and genuine life. The journey will not be easy. There will be times where you fall back into old patterns. There will be times when the inner critic becomes especially fierce. There will be times where you doubt whether change is truly possible. But there will also be wonderful moments. Moments where you will offer yourself compassion and be surprised by how that feels. Moments where you will set a limit and not back down. Moments where someone will truly love you, and you will be able, for a few seconds, to believe that you deserve it. Moments where you will see yourself through the eyes of someone who truly sees you and loves you, and you will finally understand your own worth. These moments will multiply. If you continue the work, if you continue to honor the child who has suffered while nurturing the adult who is healing, if you continue to choose yourself, protect your own needs, surround yourself with safe people, seek professional help when needed, change is absolutely possible. Healing is absolutely possible. And a life where you are truly, deeply loved, starting with yourself, is completely possible. It shaped his soul. But you are more than these brands. You are the resilience you developed. You are the empathy that is gained. You are the possibility of transformation that exists within you now. And now, finally, you have everything you need to get started. Those who were not genuinely loved in childhood carry these 5 silent marks. The belief that they do not deserve love, difficulty with limits, hypervigilance, attachment to toxic relationships, and self-destructive perfectionism. These brands are not small. They are deep. They affect every aspect of your adult life. But to know them is to gain power over them. It is the first step towards liberation. And this liberation is real. It goes through appointment. It goes through validation of the child you were. It goes through relearning how to relate. It goes through consistent practice and self-compassion. It involves seeking help when necessary. It involves creating a community of safe people around you. It involves being willing to be vulnerable. It involves making the choice daily to love yourself unconditionally. That choice is available to you now, not when it's perfect, not when you reach the next goal. Now, here, with everything you are, with everything you carry, with everything you survived. You deserve this love. You always deserved it. And now finally, you can be the person who offers this to yourself. Welcome to the first day of the rest of your life. Welcome to the path to real healing. The final truth you need, understand is that these silent marks do not permanently define you. They don't make you broken. They don't make you unworthy. They do not make you incapable of being loved or of genuinely loving. They are simply scars left by a real, deep wound that you did not cause and did not deserve to suffer. But you survived. You made it this far. And now you have the opportunity to not just survive, but to genuinely live, to experience love, to allow yourself to be loved, to be that person for yourself that no one was for you as a child. This is the true cure. This is true liberation. This is your truth now. Remember, you deserved love when you were a child. You deserve to be seen, validated, protected. Just because you didn't receive these things doesn't mean you didn't deserve them. It means that the adults responsible for you were unable to provide what you needed. This isn't your fault, but healing is your responsibility now. Not because you did something wrong, but because you are the only person who can change your relationship with that injury. And in doing so, you don't just heal yourself, you break the pattern that may have been passed down through generations. You offer yourself, and potentially your children, your family, your circle, the possibility of experiencing true love, genuine security, unconditional acceptance. That's the gift you can give yourself right now. This is the legacy that can begin today. These are the 5 silent marks that someone who was not loved as a child carries to this day. And these are the truths that can begin to heal them. You deserve to be loved. Its value is not conditional. You can set limits, you can find safety, you can genuinely love yourself. These truths do not erase the past, but they offer a way forward, a path to liberation, a path to finally, after a lifetime of carrying this weight, begin to genuinely live. The journey of healing these brands is the most important journey you can take, because you're actually not just healing yourself, you're giving yourself permission to live in ways you may never have thought possible. You're offering yourself the chance to experience true, genuine, safe, unconditional love. You are offering yourself the chance to genuinely, completely be yourself without fear of being rejected or abandoned. You are offering yourself the chance to be truly happy, not the kind of happiness that depends on external success or recognition from others, but the deep happiness that comes from knowing that you are loved, that you are worthy, that you matter. This chance is available to you now. This is your right. This is your future if you choose to create. You deserved love when you were a child. You deserve to be a priority. You deserve to have your needs met. You deserve to have your emotions validated. You deserve to feel safe. You deserved all this and more. The fact that you didn't receive it isn't a reflection on you. It's a reflection on the adults in your life and the limitations they carried. But now you are an adult. Now you can offer yourself what no one offered you as a child. And that is the real cure. This is true liberation. That's the promise this text offers. You can turn those silent marks into scars of wisdom. You can transform your suffering into compassion. You can turn your lack into abundance. It all starts with you offering yourself the unconditional love you deserved from the beginning. Finally, know this. You are more than these silent brands. You are more than your injuries. You are more than your past. You are the resilience you developed from surviving something so difficult. You are the beauty that emerges from pain. You are the possibility of complete and genuine transformation. And now, you finally have the understanding you need to begin this healing process. You finally know where these brands came from. You finally understand how they are operating in your life, and now you have the tools to start transforming them. That is the gift you are offering yourself. The chance for true liberation, true healing, true life. It shaped his soul. Yes, it is true. But your soul is stronger, more beautiful, more capable of healing than any wound left there. And now you know the way. Now you know where to go. Now you have the power to transform this story. Welcome to the possibility of true transformation, true healing, true life. Get started today. Don't wait for the next year, the next relationship, the next opportunity. Start now. Look at yourself in the mirror and say, you deserved love, your needs matter, you are worthy, you are enough. Just that. Start there, and let it change your life forever. These 5 marks shaped his soul. But you are the sculptor now. He is the curator of his own life. You are the conductor of your own healing. The child you were had no power to change that situation. But the adult you are now has all the power you need. Use it well. Use it to love yourself. Use it to heal yourself. Use it to truly live. You are loved. Maybe I didn't feel that way as a child, but you are loved now by yourself for your courage in recognizing these brands, for your willingness to heal, for your determination to transform your life. You are worthy. You always were. Believe this. Live it. Be that. Those who were not loved as children carry these 5 silent marks to this day. That is true. But that child survived. Against all odds, she became you. And you can heal, you can transform, you can live freely. Start now. This moment is yours. This is your truth now. You're not broken. You're not hopeless. You're extraordinary exactly as you are. And it deserved to be from the beginning. May this realization set you free today. You deserved it. You deserve love. You deserve to be seen. You deserve to be safe. You deserved everything. And now finally, you can give it to yourself. This is your liberation. This is your cure. It shaped your soul, yes. But your soul now chooses healing. Choose love. Choose life. And this choice, made at this very moment, changes everything. Welcome to your new beginning. Start your healing journey now. You deserve. These 5 marks shaped his soul. True, but now you know the way to transform them. Now you have the power. Now you have hope. And with hope comes everything else. Healing, transformation, genuine liberation. You are resilience. You are hope. You're possibility. You're worthy of all the healing, all the love, all the full life you choose to live. It shaped your soul, but you choose now what to do with that soul. Choose well. This is for you, the child who was unloved, the adult who survived, the being who now chooses healing. You are stronger than any mark left. You can do it. You can truly live. You are capable. You are worthy. You deserved it then. You deserve it now. And that merit will never change. Start your healing today. Do it for you, because you matter. Welcome to your healing. Welcome to your full life. Welcome to the love you always deserved. That love you didn't receive as a child, you can give it to yourself now. This is the greatest power he has. Use it. It shaped his soul. That's the truth. But you can transform this soul into a work of art, being able to transform pain into wisdom, being able to transform lack into abundance. The tool is in your hands. The power is in your heart. Now begin. You can heal. You can love yourself. You can truly live. This is not vague hope. It is scientific, psychological, spiritual truth. You can do it. Now go and do it for yourself. It shaped his soul, indisputable truth. But your soul now chooses transformation. Your soul now chooses healing. Your soul now chooses to genuinely love itself. It shaped his soul, but you reshape it now. You can do it. You deserved it then. You deserve it now. Your soul is ready for healing. Your life is waiting for you. Go live. Cure. Transformation. Love. Life. Now. Your power begins now.